Hey everyone, welcome back. Joe here again, ScaleFreak.com, coming to bring you another video on the install of the Red Devil Recon. In this video, we take a look at the installation of the RC4WD Warn 9.5 CTI winch, the big bastard winch, onto the Red Devil Recon. Of course, I'm also going to be taking a look at the Warn Fairlead, as well as that little clip hook that we talked about before. So guys, check out the video, see exactly how everything gets installed onto the Red Devil, and see you guys in a minute. All right, so let's start with the packaging and the product itself. So it is actually not a big package, which is awesome. I like when people keep packages small, easier to put on a hobby shop shelf, also easier to hide from the wife. Of course, this is the Warn winch, RC4WD 110 Warn 9.5 CTI winch, part number Z-SO79. So packaging itself, easy enough. There is the poster card on the top. Open it up. In here, we've got some warnings before use, damage limits, what exactly RC4WD will be liable for. It's a model toy, do not misuse, wear safety glasses. You know, basically some standard winch stuff. Actually looks like some pretty standard winch stuff for actually having a real one-to-one winch as well. So that is done there. Open the bad boy up. You do get, of course, some nice Warn stickers. So if you want to completely pepper your kit with a Warn sticker, you absolutely can. Nice ones too. Plastic, clear, looks like they'll be pretty good against the weather and the mud. Of course, now we've got a little plastic blister pack here. Open that bad boy up. Cardboard, see ya. Oh, nice, screws. So screws to put them in. I wasn't sure because with the old Bully Dog winch, you actually had to get your own mounting hardware setup. Appears with this one here that it actually has given you a few different types of screws to put in. Okay, yeah, so there's screws here. They're all button head screws. The big hex head screw, which if you take a look here, this thing is actually set for countersunk. So I don't know, maybe not a problem yet. And of course, here the winch itself, big bastard. This thing is humongous. Now, one thing I do want to mention, or I do want to note, is that the winch itself does not come with a winch controller. That is something you have to get separately. There is the ability to get a wired and a wireless winch controller, so you take your pick as to which one is going to be best for you. The unit itself, not small. It's actually quite large. What's it weigh? Weight on this little bad boy here is, wait for the scale to zero out. So just the winch alone, 1 or 2.1 ounces just for the winch alone, which is fine. I mean, there's a big motor in here and a gearbox and a lot of line. And the hook itself, I did make a video in the past that talked about how sometimes the hook falls off when you hook it onto things. The hook on this one is actually a spring-loaded hook with a little tiny clip on there, so that once you get it onto something, even if you wind up with a slack line, let's see if I can get it up there. See, guys? Little guy right there. So if you wind up with a slack line, it's not going to create a problem. And of course, this bad boy here does have this great big gigantic Fairlead on the front of it. Now, the bumper I got, the RC4WD ARB Stubby bumper, I'm going to take that Fairlead off of this winch because I do want to put something different on here. So give me 1 second. I'm going to unscrew that and start the process of mounting this thing. Here I have, you can see, got the Fairlead off the front of it. Good, it's gone. Huge, man. Like if I put this on the front of the bumper, it's huge. It's taller than the bumper. I mean, it's great for the size of the winch, but again, it's really big for the bumper that I'm using. So maybe if you were just using an exposed winch off the front of the bumper, absolutely, this is a neat thing, the 4 rollers on it. But in my case, I'm not doing that. Now, here's a neat little thing that I just figured out. I kind of noticed the bottom of this plate is a little large for installing onto my, my ARB bumper. But you know what? That's fine. That works out for me. Mostly because I noticed that the bottom plate of this bad boy here is, the 4 screws are the same screw holes that are in the bumper itself. And hey, get this, guys. These are countersunk screws. So I'm going to be able to use the countersunk screws that came with this thing to fasten the winch directly to the bumper using the existing holes, which is a bonus for me because I kind of like to use parts that come with it. So just give me 1 second. I want to get the driver. Let's get this installed. Now I got my 1.5. let's get this thing undone here. Quick 4 screws, they're not very big. They don't need to be. Again, they are countersunk, so it tends to take up as little space as possible in the plate. You don't have a great big screw head taking up all the room. Once I get this bad boy off of here. Now you'll also notice, guys, I did have to take the hook off of this in order to get this off. The hook's just a little bit larger than the actual Fairlead is, but that's fine because that just means that you're not going to suck the line back inside with the hook attached. Now, because I am using a different system with this, what I'm going to do is just take a couple runs off of this here and just push this through the bumper now before I get everything put together. That way I'm not going to be cursing myself later why I didn't get that thing shoved through the bumper. So just give me 1 second here. It's going to be easy to throw that thing in there. And I'm just going to run it through the Fairlead hole. Just like that. And now we're going to get the bumper attached, or sorry, the winch attached to the bumper. So you can already see it fitting in there. It is a large winch, again, I said, but it fits perfect inside this A or B bumper setup. Remember, guys, we are screwing metal into metal, so keep your Loctite handy. I like to use my Loctite 222, which is, I don't know, if you ever read the Loctite website, you'll see that this is perfect for all of our RC needs. So, of course, use my little 1.5 driver. Get a little Loctite on there. You don't need to put too much on, guys, because one day you may have to get it undone again. And because we are using 1.5 screws, you want to make sure that it's going to be easy enough for you to get undone so you don't strip a screw hole. So there's one. Here, I'll just flip this over since I got one in now. We got number 2. Dropped it. This is a benefit of having a magnetic pit mat, guys. If you drop screws, they're not going to take off on you. So now we got 1, 2. Just give them a little bit of snug. Remember, guys, these are 1.5 mil screws. Never reef these things down, or else you're just going to strip the heads out. Always make sure you also have a good quality driver. You want to make sure that the head is not rounded out at all, because if you have a round head on your driver, you'll notice you're stripping out a lot of screws. So there we go. Got that thing all snugged in on all 4 screws. Now another thing, guys, when you're using a good Loctite, give it a day before you start to use it. That way everything is locked in there. So now I have, the winch is locked on there nice and tight. Of course, I've got the wire just kind of hung to the side. This is going to wind up getting installed. I'm going to probably zip it to the chassis itself, but we'll see about that. Now it's time to figure out exactly which system we're going to use as Fairlead. Now, I did take the vote before as to whether I should use the smaller Viking, the Viking 110 aluminum winch roller Fairlead, RC4WD part Z-SO404, or whether I should use the official license Warn plate that you can get, so the RC4WD 1/10 house polished aluminum Fairlead part number Z-S1310. Now, when I got the Fairlead in, I noticed how big it was compared to this bumper, and I want to kind of show you here so you can see what I mean. So I pop this sucker up to the bumper itself, and you'll actually notice, if I line up the screw holes, that it's actually quite large. It actually overhangs a bit of the bumper, which is not necessarily a concern for me. Let me see if I can get a dead-on shot here. It's not a concern for me. I don't think it's too big for this rig, and it's also not going to snag on anything there. Now, I do want to open the second part just so you guys can see, because just because this is installed now does not mean that this is the final installation of this part. If you guys leave some comments and stuff down below and say, oh man, I like the other one better, there's the possibility that I can change that. So I'll just get this on there as well. Slap this bad boy on. And you know what? Problem solved. Screw holes don't even line up. So guys, we're not going to be changing it. We're going to be installing the Warn Fairlead today, and we're not going to be switching it out. So I guess this has become a bit of a double header for product install. So not only do we have the Warn winch, but the Fairlead itself. So in the package of this one, again, more Warn stickers and installation screws for this bad boy. So these ones here, you get 2, the 2 that you need. Doesn't necessarily need to be countersunk. This thing's actually not bad. this thing's actually pre-drilled out to be countersunk flat flush with these screws. So that's a bonus, and it does come with the little nuts on the back in order to get them fed in. So guys, give me 1 second. I'm just going to get the right tools out to install this. I'll be right back. Now I have this bad boy locked into place. You can see 4 screws to get the winch installed in the ARB Stubby bumper, and then again 2 more screws to put in the Warn Fairlead, both parts from, oh actually all parts from RC4WD, and then I've got the hook put back on again. Now right now it's not hooked up. I'm going to take care of that in actually just 1 second, but I do want to note a couple things that I'm really impressed with about what this setup is using these 3 parts together. Number one, the screws that I needed to the correct countersunk screws that I needed for the winch were actually already installed in the bottom plate of the winch, which is perfect because removing the bottom plate, this winch connects directly to the RC4WD bumper. Also, the bumper was threaded, so now this thing is locked down. Let's see, I'll just flip this over real quick. Locked down, and everything is nice and smooth and clean. That's a clean install on that. You're not going to get anything snagging on that. Now the second part is, remember how I told you that that Fairlead came with a couple little backer screws, but it's not needed because the front of this bumper is also threaded. So really just a little bit of thread lock, and then of course this Fairlead has been crossed or countersunk drilled so that those hex heads fit directly in there, and again, nice flush again. So now you've got a quality solid winch on the front of the kit, a nice looking Fairlead on the front of the kit, and well, now I got to get this line put back in, which means got to install a winch controller. Just give me 1 second, guys. For this installation on this kit, I actually right now, I want to use the wired controller. You can get 2 different ones. You can get the wireless winch controller that gives you kind of the same setup, the wiring, except for you get a separate dongle or fob in order to use the winch line. But for this one here, because I'm using my my Airtronics MT4, and I do have this set up, I prefer to use my winch off of that line right there. I am going to use the wired one today. Doesn't mean I won't switch it later if I get a different radio, but I do want to wire this one in. So this is the RC4WD wired winch control unit, Z-S1089. If you're looking for the wireless, it is Z-S1092. So not much of a big difference in the part number. So packaging itself, larger piece of plastic. Pop that bad boy open. I'm not light with my packaging. Okay, so there are installation instructions in here with exactly how you're, right side up, exactly how you're going to be doing it. It's basically telling you install it in line with the winch, plug the winch into the controller, plug the controller into your receiver. That's it. And then just make sure everything else is plugged in correctly. So this is going to be an pretty easy install. Give me 1 second, guys. So the parts inside the box, quite easy. This is the winch controller, not a big unit. It's actually, well, here's my Airtronics ESC. Or sorry, not ESC, Airtronics receiver. So it's actually skinnier than the receiver, but the footprint is a little bit larger. So I think for this, in my final wiring solution, I might actually just stick the one on top of the other and call it a day with that. Of course, you do get your connections that goes from the winch controller to the receiver, and you, of course, do get the connection that goes from your winch to the controller. Easy enough solution. Just click into here, click into here. There it goes. Make sure it's in the right way. Just so you know, guys, there is a plus and the minus right on there. Winch plus, minus winch, battery minus, plus battery. So that's all there. You can actually see exactly where it's supposed to go. This one is the connector that's got the little bit of extra flashing on there, which I have to cut off to go into my receiver. So give me 1 second. I got to go get the hobby knife. With the flashing cut off, everything still fits. Super, super nice. Just make sure, of course, you get your minus and your plus in the correct location. I'm using my Futaba controller, so I'm actually going to plug this into aux 1. That's the one that I like to use with my other rig, with my winch as well. So just make sure it makes it into the correct port. Get that bad boy in there, okay? And again, guys, this is not the final wiring solution. This is actually quite a bit of a mess right now. And find my battery. this rig, before its final day, before its next run, will get an entire full rework with its wiring to make sure that everything is squared away nice. I think I may redo all my solders just to make sure that everything is done correctly. So now I have, of course, my battery plugged in, winch into the receiver, power line, winch controller into my winch, and of course I've got everything set up right now on my little lever here. So out is this way, just like that, and then in just like that. So even though the lever is got varying degrees of on and off, the winch line is just a straight on or off, or the winch controller. And that's it. Yay! I finally have a winch on the Red Devil Recon. It just took a long time for me to get around to it. I wonder what the weight this thing will do is. Let's see if it'll do the weight of itself. Ready? And here we go. No problem. Still going. No problem at all. So given the fact that this kit is loaded down with a lot of stuff, no problem getting this thing off the ground and looking good doing it. So I'm going to run the winch back in, make sure you get the wire, and bang, there we go. So I'm going to put the body on and let's see how it works out. There it is, guys, all installed. The RC4WD Warn winch installed with the RC4WD Warn Fairlead, and of course our RC4WD ARB Stubby bumper for the JK, all attached on there, and what a beaut. Now, it is a big looking winch, but you know what? After installing it on the vehicle itself, on the Jeep, it doesn't look that big anymore. I've actually seen this one-to-one winch on the front of Jeeps before. Remember, it's the 9.5cti, and it is a beast on the front of a real Jeep as well. So this one here, of course, it does have that locking hook, which is excellent. So, you know, you can do something kind of maybe like this when you're driving around the trail and it's not going to get loose on you. You'll always know where it is. Or, you know, some people just like to keep it taut like that so it's not going to piss off on you. But that's it, guys. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Thanks for the patience. I know for a long time I told you I was going to get this bad boy installed. Now I've got a winch on the on the Red Devil Recon, and I'm very happy about it. So, guys, thank you very much for checking out the video. Of course, please remember to click the subscribe button if you have not already. And please remember, guys, to click that like button. Helps out a ton. And, of course, are you using one of these winches yet? Which winch are you using on your rig? Please put the comments down below. And I'm only putting this in a few different places on the internet now, so please, if you know some people that could really help from watching the installation or the quick review of this winch itself, please pass it along. Share it throughout your communities, share it throughout your groups, and get the video seen. So thanks again a lot, guys, like a ton, a lot, for watching the video, and have a great night.